Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Curious Creation. So for today, we're going to be working on creating a home for the races you see here. Now, not all the races are going to be on this continent, and you'll kind of see why later. But for the time being, as we've kind of already named the continent and had this kind of set up, we are going to go in. I believe I have the where's the one? Oh, just the continent. Here we go. So we want the continent map because we got to remember which isles are which. So looking at this for a second, we now have that pulled up. I now can see, okay, so we got the Cracked Isles, Drafrica, and Olympia. I think I screwed that up actually, because if I'm looking at this correctly on my own map, let's see. I believe Age of Tears onwards, continents. Yeah, oh, actually, no, this is correct. Because Krakek would eventually split and grow into Redenia, Armenia, and then this would kind of break off to be a split between the Isle of Man and Rotinia. The cracked land is another continent we'll be working on. Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure I had this correctly. So these are the races we're going to be working on today. So, of course, we're going to use the blank map. Looking at this now. We're going to come over here. We're gonna, let's see if I remember right, save as, and we're just gonna call this map, the races, yeah, that should work, of the, first age main continent, and 1 of 4, and then we'll put in parentheses, races. Makes it easier to keep track of everything. Apologies about that for the noise of the water. Let me just take that out of there. Alright, so yeah, we're going to be doing the races for today. So we're going to start off with the easiest ones, the dragons. So if we come in here and we do our coloration, actually, territory tool. Ooh, hold up, that actually works. Let me see how. Ah, okay. So we're gonna undo that, of course, but that really helps. Okay, perfect. So let's do, for the dragons, I will say let's do the royal purple as much as possible. We'll do a very solid border. Full inner opacity. Actually, we'll do 50%. We're going to keep the border width as is, and the smoothing is how it wants to be. That's fine. So the majority of dragons, as we saw previously in our other map, which I'm actually going to grab that for my own reference real quickly. Geography, yes. Because if you remember correctly, we did something like this with our map for that adventure styling last time. So I'm going to use that on my right side, my right screen that you can't currently see. That is going to kind of cover my borders here. So for the majority of the dragons, a lot of the land going up into or in the center area here is going to be pretty clearly theirs. But this would be the main territory of the Central King. Oh, there we go. So with noting that, let's put that down. So this would be like the king of the dragons as well as the majority of his territory. So we'll put in here, what's here? Let me grab his actual name real quick. Because I don't remember off the top of my head. That just happens. Races, Dragonborn and Dragons. Dragons, here we are. Alright. So if you remember, our Dragon King was known as Movasi. So we'll put Movasi. So this would be dragons of his species, which would also dictate dragons of unique origin, but more of like brown and just in general. So majority dragon, and we're gonna do purple here. So this both serves as a ruler, as you've got the first port and you've got the majority of the territory. Um, we don't really have any of the other races on this portion of the territory right now, and I'll show you kind of why here in a minute when we look at the map and everything. All right, so we're going to continue on with our design. So we've got other dragons over here. We're going to use another region. This one, we're going to do a bit more in the pinkish styling, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. Would it be, I mean, it might be easier to have with the geography map, but I think at the same time it takes away from the beautiful coloration we have in that map. Although, now that I do think about that, I do... we'll keep it as is for the time being. So we're going to use the pinkish coloring to show the more traditional races that are in here. And looking at the next big one that's going to be the case is the Genasi. So funny enough, the Genasi in the original world, in the First Age, are actually from the same lands as the dragons. They're one of the only groups that generally inhabit the area that they do, and I'll kind of show you where that is. So let's do red for the Genasi. I don't believe there was a ruler in the First Age for the Genasi. There was Primordial the Broken. That is correct. Who supposedly ruled, well, no one's really sure where, how, or for how long. So with the Genasi, going into their lore a bit, let's see where they would have started out. Because if I remember correctly, and I don't want to contradict my own lore, that's why I want to make sure to double check it. Because that will come in handy to know. Is it one of the... the Pakab, yes. Because at the time, I didn't want to deal with the issues. So back in the First Age, this is going to be when the time of certain races coming around, but going to their original founding information, it doesn't talk really about, I believe, a lot of what happened. So they're going to be one of the races that we are going to leave on the original continent. So we'll just kind of make note of that for ourselves for later, that we'll be putting them back where they were. Calculate coast sapping. Okay. I don't know what that does. When creating points to... okay. Got it. So, looking at the rest of the races, what do we got? We have the Giants, who are going... I already know where I'm going to be putting the Fire Giants, and you'll see that here momentarily. And then the Loxodon, who are also going to get their territory set up here. So, let's go ahead and pulling up that map again. Let's get the Fire Giant territory shown on this map. This is going to very much upset people, or the people who want to play this race, but using the red here, it'll be the easiest way to undo. There we go. We want to kind of get this area as best as we can. So it's roughly, I'm just going with a rough range just for reference, and this would be that pretty massive desert that is set up. That kind of curves just a little bit there. And we'll put a label in here real quick. So at the time, this would have been ruled, these Fire Giants would have ruled over it by, where is his name? Suna Grunaga. Control Z, Control Z. There we go. I meant to be typing in here. Oops. Let's get rid of that. There we go. And we'll put his name in here. So it was Suna. And then this would have been Fire Giants. And we'll kind of rotate it to face off like that. And again, for the comparison, seeing that triangle there is what we're kind of aiming at to show it off. So, boom. We'll back that out. And there we go. All right, back to the regions area that we were working on. So we have another dragon that's going to be down here. So we'll go back to sampling with the purple here. There we go. Again, trying to keep the same races. around these areas. So the majority of the coastline down here would be basically similar to over like that, and then like that. And boom. Alright, again, with these two areas being, or this area being majority dragons, we'll put the labels down here for the towns as well. Pulling up the list of the dragons, as well as the geography just for our own notes. So for the list of the dragons, we'll have the Chavnika, or Chivika over here. Again, keeping that coloration in here. Chivisia, I think it was. Again, and then dragons for the most part. And I put majority dragons because, of course, they'll have their slave populations, but the race that primarily lives in these territories would be under the majority of dragons. And the same would go over here with Cicermax sharing territory. And then again, keeping that majority dragons being accurate here. And you'll see why as time goes on. Alright, let's continue on to get the other sections. So we do have some more regions that we're going to do, and we're going to try and get all the dragon territories kind of done first. So kind of popping over to here. A lot of this will be draconic territory up to around here when the thing kind of closes off, and then to there. And then we'll get the other section up here that would also be draconic for the most part. All the way down to where a little bit higher where this mountain range kind of is. Oops. And kind of latching on to that specifically. And I will, just for the sake of it, make sure to break up this territory a little bit better. As you'll kind of see, that's Cyromax's, just to kind of differentiate it. Alright, we'll keep going with this. So we have the one over here. Controls the smallest amount of land. And then the last one that is going to be right here. And then there we go. Alright, let's put these labels in. So we've got over in the next doors to Movasi with we're going to go with a little bit of a smaller font. Let's do 24 to see if that helps. Okay. Let's pull up that dragonic list. Let's see. So we've got Korix up. Oops, not what I meant to do. Let's get rid of you, please. So this would be Korix. And again, majority dragon. Now, dragon is a generalized term. It does kind of mean like dragonborn, dragonkin, so on and so forth. So just to kind of keep that in mind. Going back up here, we have oh no, this wouldn't be his. This would be Yesroxer. These names are gonna be great for later. Again, I should mention, I do these pretty stoned, so if I at all I'm a little goofy, that's why. But I think with this, they'll be kind of rolling over a larger chunk of territory. The reason I'm switching this, and I'll show you kind of why, when I mentioned the smallest amount of territory being ruled, it would be under the dragon who is basically a divination dragon, giving that divination would be the hardest magic for him to be able to do, due to divination being the realm of the gods and dragons not really liking gods. So dragons. I mean, I don't think I need to keep putting that. I'll put MD just for that. And we'll kind of, as his name's a little on the longer side. And then we've got our last one, which is... Oh, we actually have a few more. We have a few more kingdoms that we're missing. But those I'll show off later. So this last one will be the dragon... Oops, I think I spelled that wrong. Give me a second. Weird. There we go. Zurit. And then again, MD. With this, because remember, again, that is... Oops. Let me do that right. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see. Am I correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where am I missing? Oh, I'm missing the other territory right in here. Yes, okay, let's get that done. I apologize. I was wondering about that. No, actually, I will leave that as is because Yakarix will have a lot more power in this situation due to him having control over 2 towns, and I'll kind of show that off here in a minute. But let's also do the territory now for the Undead Gentleman. We'll do his with a... Well, I'd prefer to do like a grayish if possible. There we go. Let's pop that in here. So, with him ruling around these territories. Boop. That will be where he is. Now, again, I may come back and retcon some of it, but not too, there shouldn't be too much to retcon, thankfully, with it. So, this would be... Oops. Get rid of you. There we go. So he would rule a land of majority of undead as the kind of main races in there, and we'll kind of show where the rest are as we go. So let's start next with one of the other normal races. We are going to start with the Snow Dwarves to kind of show where they're at. So again, using something similar, however, I'm going to use more of a white coloring. The Snow Dwarves at this time spend the majority of their landing over in this part. Actually, before I do that, let me confirm. Yes. Okay. So prior to the Great Migration that they would have during an unknown time, and we'll unsure why it happened, the Snow Dwarves would rule a vast chunk of territory. And rule is a kind of a unique terminology, and you'll kind of see why later. But they'll be the first to basically migrate at this time period. Led by, where is it? Uthgarm. Alright. So let's put a label in here. Uthgarm, and then this would be based on the Snow Dwarves. And we'll just kind of rotate that slightly into there, and there you go. Now, they'll eventually migrate out towards this way and a couple other directions when everything is going well. As you saw, most of the land at this time isn't frozen, and that will be something that is a world event that will be popping up at a certain point between the planet split and the Great War that picks up is the Great Ice Age. That would, just for a period, create almost land bridges for a lot of the races to go across. So, continuing on with our race list here. The other races that would be in this portion are, we're going to have the Aasimar, so let's get their thing done. So at this point, I believe these are the main race that would split off from the gods to kind of rule their own territory, and supposedly were a safe haven. So we're going to go with, we'll call it a deep green for right now, giving them a pretty large chunk up here, supposedly by themselves. These lot would rule a vast bit of territory. Boop. Alright. And labels for the time being. So with this, with the Aasimar, we'll go into our royalty. At the time, yes. This would be the last time we'd see them, though, in the world, as I should mention, as they don't really become a race that continues on beyond this. So Og Brightwings would rule at this time, supposedly. And this was an actual race of Aasimar who were depictions of the of Athena or Atlanta, some believe. There were a couple other things that were going on with this race at the time, and I believe we'll be exploring that in the near future. So just kind of keep that in mind. But this race would kind of rule over these territories. Now, those who didn't have towns for the other dragons that would rule, as we are missing, I believe, let's see. So, I've got you, I have you. We don't have Fikafi, we don't have... Yeah, we do have Korix. We have Yak. We have Whim, Sersmex, Chavisia. Yep, there we go. And then we have Movasi. Alright, so the only one I'm missing is Fikafi. So at this point, one of the things I also will go into is we're going to have the other area of the dragons, and you're going to see what I'm talking about momentarily. We'll do the, based on the geological map, you'll see the large, whoa, there we go. The larger territory. Fikafi was, of course, as we know, a half-fairy, half-red dragon that has mastered the arts of illusion, or at least that was supposedly the story. And they, seeing the geographical map, would definitely be ruling over these lands, giving a natural border, in a sense, to the Aasimar here. Oops, nope, there we go. Alright, and then we'll put the last label into here, with Fikafi. Oops, let me get their full name here. Yep, make sure I'm spelling it right. Nope, go away, there we go. Nope. There we go. Alright. So Fikafi, and again, with the majority of dragons being all the way up here in these territories. So, the rest of the territories. We've got a lot of open land, but there weren't many races in this area at the time. Or at least that's how it supposedly goes. We're going to show you the territory of the Loxodon, who at the time are also known as the Tanglebig. One of the more dangerous races in my world overall, and also one of the few races I haven't really explored too much of. We're going to give them, let's go with, yellowish gold works for me. At this time now, they wouldn't have a recognized king, being a tribal nation. They would be one of the more terrifying lot. There you go. I don't believe they had a king, but we'll put a label in here to recognize the Loxodon. We'll just call them to kind of save it. And as they did not have a recognized setup, Loxodon tribes. Boop. There we go. And so they would control a very vast majority of the territory in that area. Continuing on though, so we have our dragons done, our Aasimar here done, our snow dwarves, our Loxodon. A lot of these races will be kind of mixed in with these territories, they at this point being mostly servant races. The only ones that are actually very important for us to bring up and mention would be the Aarakocra. So this would be a race that would be one of the more scary to a lot of nations due to the fact that they would be the cause, supposedly, with one of the large splits. So they roll a vast majority of the territory down here. by themselves. However, this time they were recognized more as a group of non-threats, religious fanatics. Majority. Oops. Here, let's just drag that over a bit. Yeah, there we go. Boop. Oh, God damn it. You piss off. There, nope. Just like, there we go. There we go. Majority. Eric Cochran. Let me make sure I'm spelling that right. Yes. And the reason why, although they wouldn't have a king at this time, they would, as a race, still be a majority here. So let me make sure I've got it spelled, mine's spelled a little bit different, as Eric Croca. So they would eventually migrate themselves and end up on their own. Majority Eric Cochra. We'll call it, we'll leave that, and then at the very beginning of it, actually, instead of majority Eric Cochran, rather, because church states. So at this point, the Eric Cochran, being a very religious folk, would be basically set up around there. Continuing on, I'm going to be changing some of this, as you'll see later, but we're going to continue on with the races. So let's get our Genasi as the next ones, as we have now crossed off the Eric Cochran, where they are. The rest of these being races that are going to be mostly left alone on other continents. These are the recognized races on this continent at this time, and we'll kind of show you where they end up. So let's do the Genasi next, as they are one of the other races. So for the Genasi, let's use a pinkish color will work for me, as they are going to be one of the more unique types. So at the time, while they were not a large kingdom, they did have a little bit of territory here. And so while it was small, it was an individualist kingdom, so that was a whole thing for them. And I mean, they're called the Bacab, but that's just how it is, what they're called in my world. But we're going to make sure to leave them as Genasi to make it easy for my players to find them. So, continuing on though, let's now get our... As these lot will migrate along in the Ice Age to the other continents as well. Let's get the other giants though set up now. So with the Storm Giants, the Storm and Cloud Giants I can't do anything with because their cities would majority fly. However, we do have the other giants that we can definitely get into. We can start with the easiest of the lot, as we do have the Fire Giants done, and we won't be doing either of these as they would have floating cities. Doing the Frost Giants next. So the Frost Giants we'll have as like a light bluish at this time, would control the majority of the territory down in this area, which, you know, kind of gives you an idea of what would happen during this time period. Now, naturally bordering the lake here and then coming on all the way over here and then boom. This would be the majority of their territory, or at least that's supposedly how the mortals of the time recognized it. Again, that is one of the things I will kind of focus on, is that this is all based on the majority of the knowledge to the people who were alive at this time. So kind of keep that in mind as we're going through this. So this would have been ruled over by, at the time, Utham. And we would put majority Frost Giants. So, supposedly, this is where their home territory would be. However, they would, of course, be located in other areas, as we'd find out later. So, continuing on, though, as we cross another giant off the list, we have the Hillstone and Crystal. So, funny enough, these lot kind of all come from the same little area, and we'll kind of show how that develops. What's a goodish color? I'm looking for like a brown in here. We can start with a bright orange, like a really bright orange, and then we'll work our way down. So, with that in mind, while the fire giants would rule most of this territory, not all the volcanoes would be active for them, we would see the starting of the stone giants right around this entire area. And then, eventually, and we'll kind of continue down here, we would have the hill giants as well as the crystal giants who would spawn from this. And they would continue their migration with the hill giants eventually pushing out. Let's just make this a little bit darker. To, oops, rule over this entire northern area of hills. And the crystal giants, who we will flavor to be more of a very bright-ish, let's go with like almost an icy color, would end up migrating all the way down to this area. Nope, there we go. Oops, there we go. All right. Let's also bring out the menu again. Thank you. So let's get these written down. With stone giants here. At the time ruled by, well, Bun was the gentleman's name. Oops, let's move you away. Bun, and we'll put in here SG for stone giant. Or, yeah, because, oh, yeah. And then right next to it would be, where is the hill giants? Balam. And then we'll put hill. And then lastly is down in these areas would be the crystal ruled by Pulpin. Which will kind of, give a little bit more context later for some other stuff that we'll have to be updating for lore. Because as we're going to go forward, we're going to be adjusting things as we always do. How long has this video been? Oh, 32 minutes. I doubt anybody's going to watch this, but that's okay. Continuing on, because I don't feel like splitting it up because we're already so far in. We will have those races done. Let's do the Heli and Voli, who would eventually come to be known. So we'll do the Heliovoli is what we're going to call them, and let's use that green, but go with a darker color to it, and I'll show you why. So with them having not a large territory, now this wouldn't be a territory, more like a kind of breeding area that they were used or given. So kind of keeping that in mind, we'll put that in there, flip it, Heliovoli, primitive. And there's a reason I'm putting that, meaning that they are a slave race. And then put, there, that works. All right. So there's another one off the list because those two are done. Oh, nope. Oops, controls. That's fine. We'll fix it in a moment. We'll work on the Tuertas and Tostoodle. Well, to be fair, all three of these races are going to be really easy to do because they're going to be in the same situation as the others. So we'll do, let's see, you know what? Let's go with that. That'll work. Because this race will actually be all pretty much in the same area. And then, boop, there we go. All right. And then we'll get our label in here. So this is what I would call the scaled races. Scaled, let's put primitive slaves is again as the main actually in this case. And then we'll put we'll grab the list here real quick that I was looking at a moment ago. And I'll pull that to my side. No, not what I wanted. Nope. There we go. Alright, we want to put Tuerto, yeah. So, Tuertas, can I alt-enter? Yes. Testudala and Deerco. So, boom, we've got those 3 done now. So we can now cross them off like we had. Let's get, so the Vidan, I'm not going to do their stuff here because they would be, these races are evolutions of the Snow Dwarfs, so that's kind of why I'm not going to do either of these. The elves in the same situation as these races already have where their origins start out. The Crystal Dragonborn are an evolution technically of the Deerco that would split off and head off during the Great Freeze, so we won't do any of these races down here because they wouldn't be around. So we're going to cross all of these off as they will later be evolutions. We will be putting the Gnolls, Black Orcs, and Ogres in though. So just for reference. And then we're going to come over here. Symbols, as I actually kind of think that it would be pretty accurate for this lot. Let's go with, I've already used orange. I'm just trying to come up with some good colors. I might start using the same colors in this situation because instead of primitive slaves, this isn't really, I think it should be more, we'll use the green as primitive servants because these were a servant race. They weren't slaves yet. The Snow Dwarfs were technically independent, same with the Genasi. They were primitive slaves, so that's what I think we're going to use for our referencing here. And we're going to go with that. So let's, nope, nope, sir, nope, that's that, alright. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and we're going to get our Gnolls in. And pretty much, boom. There, we'll put the same thing, kind of copying something similar to put into this, but instead we'll be putting Gnolls down. And actually, can I alt-enter that? Nope. Okay. Is it control? Was it control? I thought it was, but maybe it wasn't. Nope. All right. We're gonna just kind of twist it a little bit. There we go. All right. So there's another race down. Easy enough. Let's do the Black Orcs. For our next one, being another easy one to knock out, keeping again the same colors because again these are mostly races that were basically enslaved by the dragons if you think about it. All right, and we're gonna use this again with something similar. Actually, can I? Nope. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And then lastly, as we have the only other race at this point that left to work on, now a lot of this empty land would be inhabited by like local villages and smaller things, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind. We're gonna have our last region of the ogres, another race that would have to deal with the dragons. So, ooh, oh, I forgot about this. Here, hold up. Because I was gonna turn like this whole thing into it, but that's fair. There we go. Okay, and then again, the same thing in this situation. We're gonna kind of copy that, put that here, and instead do and that kind of gives you the idea of exactly what they were dealing with at the time for these races. It also kind of shows you what races were in the area at this point, giving that there is going to be areas where there would be monsters that would rule it, and we're going to kind of show that as well in here, because I think that's really important to have, to be honest. So we are going to go with, let's do, actually, hold up. We've got that reddish color. What about this brighter red? That might be a good one to work with. Or we do like a, do we have a pure, oh, we have some greens in there. We have some blues. We don't have a pitch black blue. That'll work. All right. So basically, to kind of give an idea here, a lot of this territory at this point would be controlled by monsters of other sorts and such like that. So we're going to kind of show that by having these chunks of territory kind of closed up. And you'll see why later. Each of these remaining to one monster in its own right. So keeping that in mind, we're gonna finish these little areas. And these would be just creatures that ruled these territories in a sense. And we'll now put monster races. We're not going to put anything in here for anything else, other than basically monster races. And you'll see kind of why. Slash hunting. And there we go. There's a reason why I'm using that, or this for the abbreviation. And there's also a reason why these are cut up like they are. Let's rotate that, put it like that, rotate it there. There we go. Got something similar. We're gonna. I think at this point we're just gonna copy and paste. Oh no. Piss off. Control that till we have a copy of it, and then boom, boom, and boom. So these would be races that have just either A, not been recognized yet by the dragon majority, or have very powerful monsters in the area that dragons can't deal with. So we can go ahead and finally save this map, and then go ahead and export this finally as a PNG as well, and we'll call this something like that, and call it races. There you go. Kind of giving now the full context. And that is all I'm working on today. I think that was a pretty big video, 43 minutes. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you don't, feel free to leave a comment. If you do, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you want to see more of in the future. And thank you again for putting up with my stoned ass. Hope that you enjoyed.